Welcome to another round of Month in Data, in which we look at some of the numbers behind this month's trending stories. Volkswagen caused a major ripple in Germany in September, as the country's largest auto manufacturer revealed it would tighten current cost-cutting measures by terminating a 20-year-old job protection deal and considering the closure of factories. The deal was set to run until 2029, but now only covers workers until June 2025. Volkswagen is a key element of Germany's economic landscape, employing more than 120,000 people at 11 sites across the country. Worldwide, this figure climbs to 676,000 across the entire Volkswagen Group worldwide. As of 2023, the company held a 6% share of the global automotive market, second only to Toyota. But according to Oliver Blume, Volkswagen Group CEO, the worsening economic environment, the challenging state of the European auto industry, and increased competition from Asia necessitate tough action. Putting it succinctly, Blume told German publication Bild am Sonntag that the cake has gotten smaller and we have more guests at the table. Economic headwinds do seem to be having an impact on the European auto industry. In August 2024, new car registrations fell by 18.3% to hit a 3-year low, and battery electric vehicle registrations were almost half the level seen in 2023. As for increased imports from Asia, Chinese car exports continue to grow, with a focus on battery electric vehicles. For now, Volkswagen will enter into talks with trade union IG Metall a month earlier than planned, with the union promising a determined resistance to closures and layoffs. Moving from auto giants to tech giants, Apple and Google both suffered multi-billion euro legal losses in Europe this month, with the Court of Justice of the EU handing out 2 final rulings on separate cases that have dragged on for several years. In Apple's case, the court upheld an order from 2016 requiring Ireland to collect 13 billion euros in unpaid taxes, ruling that a suite of deals struck with the Irish government were unlawful. In Google's case, the court sided with the European Commission's 2017 decision to impose a 2.7 billion euro fine, deciding that Google's preferential treatment of their own shopping price comparison service breached antitrust laws. Google and Apple are regular sparring partners for the European legal system, having been hit with higher antitrust fines than any other tech company. While penalties for unlawful conduct are high, the European market is of course extremely lucrative for both companies. In 2023, nearly 1/3 of Google parent company Alphabet's revenue came from the Europe, Middle East and Africa region, and Apple generated around $75 billion in Europe in the first 3 quarters of 2024. But it's not just Europe that have tech giants in their sights. Back on home soil in the US, the Department of Justice is pursuing antitrust cases against Google and Apple. Looking now at the world of health, researchers published a report documenting the discovery of microplastics in brain tissue after analyzing the olfactory bulbs of 15 deceased individuals. While microplastics have been discovered across the human body, the study claims their detection in the olfactory bulbs, the massive brain tissue that participates in the sense of smell, is the first documented discovery in human brain tissue. It is also unlikely to be the last, with a preprint paper available from the National Institutes of Health making similar findings, with 24 brain samples measuring on average 0.5% plastic by weight. These papers are part of the work currently underway to shed light on what could be a serious public health and environmental problem. As we race to find out more about microplastic and its ecological and health impacts, one thing is clear: the problem isn't about to disappear anytime soon. Microplastic particles are present across the length of the food chain. It can even be found in the air we breathe. The problem is particularly concentrated in Asia, with intake several times higher than anywhere else in the world. Millions of metric tons worth of microplastics enter waterways in this part of the world every year. Contamination of waterways is a serious global problem, with synthetic textiles, car tires, and city dust making up the majority of microplastic particles in the ocean. Moving on to another big story this month, Boeing's Starliner returned to Earth in September after a number of thruster malfunctions hampered the process of docking with the International Space Station, the ISS. The mission was Starliner's first flight carrying crew members. However, due to the thruster issues, NASA decided to bring the craft back to Earth without occupants, extending astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams' stay on the International Space Station from 8 days to 8 months. Starliner's return to Earth is the latest in a series of issues facing Boeing. 2024 got off to an awful start for the company when a cabin panel sheared off an Alaska Airlines flight, resulting in the Federal Aviation Administration grounding 171 Boeing aircraft. In 2023, Boeing's worldwide revenue stood at close to $78 billion. Close to $25 billion of that amount comes from the Defense, Space and Security Division. While Boeing has been plagued by cost overruns, NASA awarded rival SpaceX an $843 million contract to build the vehicle that will bring the ISS out of orbit when its operating lifespan ends in a few years. Back on Earth, Nike appointed a new CEO this month, with Elliot Hill replacing outgoing CEO John Donahoe. But one particular element of Hill's resume captured the attention of many, with Hill having started his time at Nike as an intern in 1988. Hill took on 19 different roles within the company and retired as President of Consumer and Marketplace in 2020, taking the reins as CEO from October 2024 onwards. Back in 1988, when the first Air Jordan was just 3 years old, Nike's revenue in the United States stood at $900 million. 36 years later, and Hill is taking the helm of a company that employs nearly 80,000 people worldwide. Global revenue grew very little from 2023 to 2024, and on the back of missed earnings targets, Nike adjusted their 2025 fiscal outlook to include what they describe as a mid-single digits revenue reduction next year. Hill's challenge will be to navigate Nike through difficult economic conditions in a way that pleases investors and sneakerheads alike. If you'd like to find out more about these stories and countless others, head on over to Statista.com and join us next time for another round of Month in Data.